Hey, what's going on 499 fans? It's your boy Music Nerd. About to take a minute with Music Nerd and get into the preview for this game tonight. Number 4 UM versus the unranked Florida Gators. Let's get into it. I do say unranked Florida Gators, but let's be real. This is probably one of the most talented teams that Miami will face all season. Definitely probably the best defense Miami will face all season. That includes Florida State, who's coming up in a couple weeks. That includes Notre Dame, who we just saw give up 41 points to Texas A&M, and USF, who gave 49 points to us. This team has given up 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks, and it's not like it's just against like bad competition. They gave up no points to the FCS competition. They gave up only 1 touchdown on a fluke play. I must say to USF, who was the media darling for a week when they were about to play Miami, and then they only gave up 1 touchdown to number 3 LSU, who everyone is saying is a national title favorite, even though when you look at it, LSU at this point has only beaten Clemson and Florida. But to be honest about it, Florida's defense having such struggles. Chip Kelly went off for like 7 minutes on a reporter when he asked him what the struggles was. So any defense that can do that to someone like Chip Kelly, then you know you got to take it seriously. This game, when you get into it, it's not so much about even the players and everything. Of course, you know, you want to make sure players step up. You know, Carson Beck has to step up, Mark Fletcher, Keontae Scott playing someone like Vernell Brown for Florida. You know, Ruben Bainey got to hear his name a lot. Keem Messador when going up against someone like Jake Slaughter and their tackles. And, you know, G.J. Lagway, of course, is going to be a big talking spot. But when you have a game like this for state supremacy, basically, it's going to be a huge recruiting game for Miami. And thus, it's going to be a huge recruiting game for Florida. These guys go after the same players. So it's a chance for Florida to show what it has. It's also a chance for Miami to kind of write the final chapter for Billy Napier, as some are saying it. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think that Florida's going to give Miami its best shot. I think DJ Lagway is going to be a lot better than what he was last Saturday against LSU because he can't really get much worse. So retraction to the mean means he's going to be better. And Miami has had some problems with goal balls, had some problems with letting up the big play in the passing game still. That's one of the few weaknesses I've seen on the defense so far. And DJ Lagway's strength is the deep ball. And so he has some receivers who can do it. Now, one of the issues that Florida has had is that Florida's receivers has not been creating a lot of separation in these first 3 games. So Miami is able to play aggressively, and their cornerbacks have been playing as well as they have been playing. Maybe that trend sticks. I mean, a lot of the pundits are saying like Florida's offense can't do anything. For me, that's my main concern in this game. Is I think offense kind of waking up a little bit. I'm not afraid of Billy Napier's play calling ability or his ability to game plan. He's a really good recruiter. He puts people in the right place. This is a very, like I said, this is the most talented team I think Miami's going to play. I think that's more so when we talk about Florida State when it comes to game planning, but that's for next week, a couple weeks, actually. My concern about this team is that he has some guys who can go out and get it. They look the part. They're good looking players over there in Florida. They're very talented. Mario Cristobal is very right in saying that this is one of the most talented teams Miami's played in 4 years he's been here, and he's not lying. I think that Florida is a year away from being in that CFP conversation. And I think it's going to be with a different coach. Honestly, I know their expectations were sky high for this team. I just thought they were too young for it, and the schedule was too hard again. Like this starts off. This is the second game of I think a 6 game stretch where they play the number 3, number 4, number 7, number 8, and number 9 and number 10 team in like a 5 game possession, and that doesn't even count Florida State at the end of the year, who will probably be at worst number 15 if Florida State loses a couple games, and that's the thing. Florida State's schedule only has like 2 losable games on it too. So once again, I think that this team, even though it's taken a couple shots already, I think that one thing you have to worry about when you're dealing with a team like this is like the next shots it's going to take, because a wounded animal is always going to be the most dangerous. So the keys to this game, as I've said in all the games that I've done, the line of scrimmage is going to be big here. Miami's offensive line has got to continue to dominate. Now, Florida's defensive line is going to be without Caleb Banks, probably their best D tackle. I know there's a couple other players who are going to be out, and their defensive line has not produced that much of a pass rush the first couple seasons. But something in me tells me that they're going to try to do that, because that's the only way really you can beat Carson Beck. You got to get pressure on him. I think they're going to try to use their linebackers. Miles Graham is a very good player, so they're going to try and use him, I think, to generate pressure. And I think that Miami's offensive line has got to be smart in doing that. One way you do that is that you run the ball well. Mark Fletcher, Shamar Brown, Jordan Lyle, I think, needs to really play in this game. I know it's if he's hurt, I know that Miami plays that thing kind of close to the vest. They're more invested in the future, but I think Jordan Lyle can be a difference maker in a game like this. I think you need to be able to run the ball in how many different ways you can, because I think if Carson Beck has time, I think he's going to be able to get some things going, and I think like Miami will be able to get some separation. I think against these corners. But that being said, I'm not expecting a huge game. I'm not expecting us to score 49 points again. I'm maybe mid 20s, maybe low 30s in this game if everything goes Miami's way. But the thing is, when rivalry games, not everything goes your way. So I think Miami's going to need some special teams play in this one too. So offensive line has got to be perfect. Miami knows it has to have one of his best games again, and the offensive line's got to be great. Defensive line's got to create pressure against DJ Lagway. Bain and Messidor have to be able to contain. Right now, they got to make his bad season worse if that's possible. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was against LSU, but I think Miami can do things to hurry him up. I think Miami can confuse him if they can. I think Heatherman is going to have to call another masterful game here, and really, it's going to be the defensive line. The cornerbacks have to hold up. The safeties have to play well. And they played well. They played really well, I thought, against South Florida. But that has got to continue here. Like the goal balls are kind of left up behind the corners by kind of breaking contain a little bit and breaking on like a scramble drill for one. And then there was just a straight goal ball that Frederick left off in the other one. But here right now, I think you got safeties that got to be huge. They got to make sure they're playing their shots, and they got to make sure they don't let anything get behind them. So I literally will just take one thing. If they get one big play, then all of a sudden DJ Lagway can become the quarterback that everyone's waiting for him to be. Special team wise, I think Miami has got to. We got to turn that 15-yard punt return into a 65-yard one. Miami has got to play lights out, I think, on special teams. They got to make some big plays here. I think they're very even when it comes to the talent on this team. I think Miami is better coached than Florida. And I do think that's what's going to well out in the end. And I think it's kind of crazy with everything that's happened that we would say this, but I think with what Napier's got going on, I think it's obvious that Cristobal has addressed his weaknesses a little bit with his coaching staff. I don't think Napier has, and I think that maybe is undoing. But we'll talk about that later if that does happen. But I mean, the biggest key to this game is playing smart. No turnovers, nothing like that. Now, Miami was lucky, I think, to get out even in the turnover game against USF, but even so, Miami just dominated that game so much it didn't really matter. This one is going to matter a little bit more. I know USF beat this Florida team. I understand that. But Florida is a better team than USF. They're more talented. They're going to be their defense is a lot better, I think, than USF's. And, they're going to be able to match Miami in speed in a way that USF couldn't. I mean, you're not going to have Tony and Daniels and Moore and all those wide receivers just running all over them like that. It's not going to be like that here. They're going to be able to do a little bit better with that. So Miami has to be smart, has to make sure it doesn't throw turnover-worthy balls. It's got to make sure it runs the ball well, got to make sure it protects it. So that being said, I think Miami is going to. I think Carson Beck is built for these type of games. Third big game in 4 already. I think Carson Beck is the reason why he's 27-3 as a starting quarterback. I think he is a big factor in this game. And in the quarterback battle, I think a lot of people would have said in the offseason that DJ Lagway would have won this. And I think even then they would have been wrong, even though I really like DJ Lagway. And I'm on the record saying I thought Miami would lose this game to begin this season because I thought Florida was going to be out for it. But watching them play, I see no reason why Miami should lose this game with the way that they play. Now, that being said, Miami needs to be wary of this opponent. But my prediction, I think Miami takes it 28-21. I think Florida's able to get some things going together. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, and I think Miami pulls away, but I think they do it like the Notre Dame game. They take their foot off the gas a little bit. I think Florida's able to creep back into the game, and I don't think Florida's defense allows Miami to just run away with the game. But that being said, I still think it's a significant victory for Miami. I think that Miami's going to show that it's a team here to stay and that it's a national title contender. So we're going to see y'all today. I actually get to sit and watch the game. I don't really get to do that too often. I'm usually working on Saturdays, but I'm going to enjoy it. Hope you all enjoy it too. Thank y'all so much. Please like and subscribe. Start sharing the games. We're trying to get a little bit more traction. We're actually getting a little bit more viewership with our videos that we're doing. So thank y'all so much for those who have commented and shared and liked and become new subscribers. We appreciate y'all. We'll be doing a podcast every other week from now on, and we'll be trying to do these every week that we can. Love you guys. See you soon. Go Canes. Off 199. Out.